What's up, everybody? It's your favorite famous duels, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Generation Toy Leader set, which is their Megatron and Optimus. These are kind of the Build-A-Figures that they have been including in their combiner releases, and then they just released the two with like paint decos and stuff pre-assembled in a 2-pack for you to consume and possibly even enjoy, but we'll get there. That being said, it's all known to me from Robert D. He wrapped them in some bubble wrap and handed them to me in hand, and he's gonna get them back at Skullfest, I believe, so that'll work just fine. And we'll start with Megatron. Looks pretty good. Nice silver finish on it. The only thing that I don't like just immediately, like the head seems a little wide, which is definitely a subjective thing. And then, good grief. I'm allergic to Brooklyn, maybe.
I actually shave small pieces of knockoff plastic into each box I send him.
The other thing that I don't like is that the back cannon kind of sits up straight in the middle. I definitely prefer it off to the side, but you know, it's definitely actually I feel like that's less of a nitpick than the wide head. Accessory wise, he comes with his fusion cannon. It just pegs into the side of his arm here, and then this piece in the back pegs into this little notch there. But unfortunately, it makes it sit in the middle. We'll talk about that here in a minute. These have a purple lens at the front and back. Decent enough sculpt work. And then we have the silver paint on the barrel, you know, and decent enough sculpt work. Nice silver finish throughout. Red paint there on the eyes with a black outline. It looks like silver paint there on the abdomen. Head is on a ball peg. So you get a little bit down, a good bit up, side to side, and you actually get confused dog look too, so that's fine. The shoulders, due to transformation, have a lot of articulation, but they help a lot. They can get almost out to 90 degrees. You get the swivel. It's a little tight, but you get it. I'm just going to set that to the side. You get a bicep swivel. That's also a little tight. And then you get a single hinged elbow that gets you about 45 degrees, which is not the best. No wrist swivel, but you do get a hinge in out, so you can give it a little bit of a dynamic look, like a little bit of natural posturing, which is nice. Same for the other side. No waist swivel due to transformation. T-jointed ball joints for hips, extremely limited. Limited only to the sides, front and back is not a problem. Thigh swivel. Single hinged knee that gets you just shy of 90 degrees. Ankle tilt up, down, rocker. It's all there on a ball peg that's attached to a hinge, I would imagine. So a fairly articulated little fella. Not a bad sculpt. Pretty decent attempt for a Legends. I'm not sure if it has the DX9. I think it was the DX9 one that I looked at. I'm not sure if it has that one beat, but you know, not a bad effort nonetheless. All right, so let's get him transformed. Tuck in the heel. There's a number of little things that I have to do just to kind of remember. Tuck the feet back. It is a little intricate for a little fella. Tuck the hands in. Collapse the forearms. There it is. Just have to make sure it's lined up right. Move this out of the way. Fold that back. Tuck the head in. Fold the head back. All right, now for the shoulders, you need to get this swivel facing downwards, and then you need to rotate the arm back up. So let's start here. And there. And it's just a matter of moving it around. It's easy to do when you're doing it in hand. It's just hard to explain. All right, we don't need to do that yet. Let's tuck that back in, so to speak. All right, and then we also need to open this up here, bring this piece around on this armature here, and then tuck this back around to the bottom side, fold this back up, and snap it into place, which is a little tricky because of the paint. It's a little tight like a tiger. Now, I'm not gonna bore you with how much I had to fight to get that in, so we'll just cut in here. And then we're gonna take this piece and fold it up. These two pieces will notch into the pelvis. And then you wanna rotate the thighs out to the sides. Open this panel up. I can't remember which side it opens on. Let's figure it out there. And then you need to rotate this down while keeping this red peg here in the same sort of arrangement that it's currently in. So it's a tight little tolerance, so it has a tendency to want to, oh, that finally came off, move downward. So you just kind of have to do your best. And then we'll fold that back up. Same for this side. Open up. Rotate this down. Try to keep that peg in line. All the while keeping this oriented so there. There you go. And then you have this piece left. Some of this is coming tabbed, but this pulls around to the sides, and then this tabs in, and then these, good grief. These two pieces come up and around and peg into the sides here. This piece of the trigger guard pegs into there, and it's just a matter of getting it all pegged in. I'll do this off camera, we'll cut back. And there you have it. You peg this in, you peg this in, and you're in service. And I think it's really well done. There's some frustrating parts due to tolerances. There's some frustrating parts due to the paint kind of not lending itself to letting everything get stuck in properly. But the engineering is one thing I'll say about this company. I really think they had the best engineering in the third-party game. It's always interesting. It's always unique. It's always very just a fun and compelling experience. So yeah, kudos, and I don't think it looks half bad either. It would have been nice if they gave you an accessory to kind of, form the back end of it, so to speak. But for what it is, I think it's pretty well done. And then we have Prime, who looks really good. I'm not gonna lie to you. So let's remove the accessory. It's his kind of signature blaster. It does fold around. We'll get back to that. But decent enough sculpt. He holds it just fine, so no issues. As for the figure, quite well done. I love the proportions. I think it, for a Legends class figure specifically, I think it is really quite impressive and fairly spot on. Love the blue translucent. We got red paint on here. We have, and I think this is just blue plastic down there, but we got the silver accents that all look good. We got light piping for the head, which I'm not crazy about, but you know how I feel. Silver paint on the sides. I mean, it's sharp. There's no doubt about it. It took me back actually when I first saw it because I was pretty impressed. The head is on a ball peg. You get down really nothing, a fair bit up. The swivel, confused dog look a little bit, so I'm okay with that. You get a waist swivel and you get an ab crunch back, nothing forward really, which is kind of a bummer, but I get it. Then you get the silver paint on top of the red there. That looks good. The shoulders are basically, they act as universals, or is it a double ball peg? No, so it's a hinge coming out to a ball peg, so it acts like a universal. It gets the arm out to there, swivel all the way around, out to the side, no problems whatsoever. Bicep swivel, single hinged elbow that gets you past 90 degrees. Wrists don't swivel, but they do fold in. It would have been nice to have a flap there to cover that up. That's a complaint. But yeah, I think that this is very, very effective. You also get a little bit of a reverse butterfly joint, so there's nothing hateful about that either. Same for this side. And then we have T-jointed ball joints for hips with silver paint on the pelvis and thighs, get you all the way out for the full Van Damme and the full Monty pretty much. Thigh swivel, single hinged knee. However, you can untab this a little bit and get the double for the full range if you need to cheat it, but it's not kind of meant that way. And then you have an ankle tilt up on a ball peg, ankle tilt down. It's a ball peg on a hinge as well. Toe tilt, not really, because it's more for down, so it doesn't really help you. And then a pretty significant rocker. There he is from the back, fairly clean, so I think this is very strong. This is my only real nitpick, and I don't think you'll ever see it. I don't think it'll ever bother you. You could say that the head is maybe proportionately a little too small, and I would get that, but I don't mind small heads on robots. I think it helps them I think it helps make them look larger than life. All right, we're gonna have to do this one in some steps. So open up this pocket here and put the head in, and then close that back up. Flip the hands in, and then bend the elbow backward so that the hands are facing up, and then swivel it around, and you want to do that on both sides. Swivel the waist 180. Come around and open up these flaps. This you need to keep in line. Let me get my spudger. This bar needs to remain perpendicular to the sidelines of the shin. It has a tendency to want to go down on you, so to speak. But if you bend the knee back and then forward, I have found that is the best case scenario to keep it in line. Take this panel and close it back, and you're good to go. Fold down the foot, push it into place. We'll do it again. Here, bend the knee back, rotate it down. See, I got overconfident. Your overconfidence is your weakness. Your faith in your friends is yours. All right, let's see here. Bend the knee back. There. There it is. And then you can also tab those together, collapse, push up. So we're not out of the woods quite yet. Untab these from the back and then swivel them down. Then this gray bar needs to come and sit between the upper body and the pelvis. As it does so, mine has a tendency to pop these pieces off of the gray piece, the armature here, which is just attached with C-clips, so it's not a big deal, but it is a little frustrating. There's one, this one held on so far. Then you rotate the whole body, upper body, around while moving this piece out to the front. So that one held on. Let's attach this one. There we go. Okie dokie. So then we want to flip these pieces down here, and they act as headlights, which is pretty cool. And then you have the grill, which needs to slide forward. As the grill slides forward, it brings these pieces out as well. How frustrating. And then bring these side pieces around to the front. Tab in there. I'll attach this again. Untab the bumper. And then bring the bumper around. To the front, where it will peg in there, and then it needs to sit kind of over top of this. And it came undone again. And I'll clean it all up off camera, but then you want to just do your kind of traditional Optimus move the shoulder to the back, and then swivel this around to the front. And that's basically it. All right, we'll clean it up, take a look at it. So there it is. There is one last thing I forgot to show, and that is to move these around and tab them back in to kind of solidify it. But it's a real shame about those C-clips because it really kind of puts a stain on an otherwise pretty interesting, attempt at Optimus. Like, I think this is pretty cool. Like, it's definitely the best Legends Optimus I feel like I've looked at, but I'm not sure how many I've looked at. You know, my kids had a few, but I don't know. I think this is effective. I really do. I like how I like how clean it is and how boxy it is. I think it looks really sharp. The wheels are toleranced poorly, so they don't roll, so that's another pain. Tolerance is an issue with this set kind of in general. And tends to be an issue with the Legend stuff, and it's probably hard to get that stuff just right when the pieces are so small to account for all of it. But it is, I think it's a fairly impressive effort. Size comparison wise, there they are with the Warbotron kind of Build-A-Figure from the same group of folks. Iron Factory Legend, and then Hasbro Legend. So I think the size is exactly what you should be looking for. Final thoughts wise, couple issues here, mainly due to tolerances, mainly due to clearances. A lot of that has to do with they were intended to be kind of model kits at first. Another fair portion of that has to do with the fact that now there's paint where once there wasn't. The only other things that I would point out is that Megatron has a tendency to be a little back heavy, probably due to that huge mountain of a cannon on his back, and that his feet have to sit a little bit more forward, throwing off the overall balance of the figure. The gun on Optimus does plug into the truck mode. I forgot to film it. I'm not going to transform it again, so take my word for it. Plugs into the bottom underneath the cab. And articulation's a little limited on Megatron. You know, Megatron's just a tricky beast. The positives are plenty of paint, sculpt work is tight, articulation works fairly well for both, interesting presence, and very, very unique and enjoyable transformation, with the exception of some pieces not moving smoothly and some pieces popping off. But still very unique approaches to both and very enjoyable. So yeah, it's definitely a recommend from me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.
Actually shave a small piece of knockoff plastic into each box I send him.